everyone, welcome back to MaJ Cooking episode 15. We really do apologize for being away for so long, but we're really happy to get back into it and get back into the feeling of in the kitchen. So yeah, what are we making today?
Yeah, we've been away for a little while. It's been like a whole bunch of weeks. The summer is over. It's actually snowing outside today, so it kind of feels like an indoor kind of cooking day. So here we are. Welcome back, everybody. We hope you'll enjoy this one. Yeah, so it's kind of the season where chili is a really great thing to cook when the weather gets cold. The Grey Cup is coming up in a few weeks.
Yep.
We've got the Super Bowl coming up in a few weeks after that. Chili is an absolute awesome thing to do. So we thought we'd do this kind of our own little chili recipe.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're hosting a Grey Cup party or a Super Bowl party, well, maybe you can give this one a try. So, okay, so we're gonna go through the ingredients here, and then Mateo, we're also, to accompany with our chili, you've got some stuff over here. What are you gonna prepare?
So we're gonna prepare the bread roll from a previous episode, but we're making the recipe a lot bigger. We're making it 3 times bigger. It'll be a good recipe though. We'll enjoy it and we'll make it nice and fun.
Yes, super cool. So you can serve kind of anything you want with chili, nacho chips. You're going to do these really, really good bread rolls. So this is all going to come together. We're going to review all of our ingredients here. We're going to get started with our chili. It's all about building flavors, building layers, so we'll be right back. All right, chili. So we love using beef, okay? Yeah. Now what I've got here, I got about 4 pounds of beef here. Now we do have a little bit of ground pork in there. So there's about 1 pound of ground pork, 3 pounds of ground beef. Kind of medium grind, that's all we need. So we're gonna start with that, and then we're gonna kind of build our layers as we go here. And then really, chili is all about cooking it really slow, 1.5 hours, 2 hours. We'll do a little bit on the stove top, a little bit in the oven. We'll get to that in a little sec. So 4 pounds of ground beef. We got about 20 ounces of black beans, 20 ounces of red kidney beans. The really interesting thing with chili, it's all about ratios. So there's thousands of different recipes, thousands of different ratios. Beef to bean to tomato to onion. This is ours, but again, there's so many variations. So we'll go with this one. So we have our beans. We've got some chopped tomatoes. So I've got like 3 cans, 12 ounce just chopped tomatoes. I've got a really, really good quality tomato sauce, marinara sauce. Don't chintz out on this. Really use good quality ingredients, and the finished product will be so much better. So we have about 600 milliliters of that. Mateo chopped up a whole bunch of onions. Lots of onions in chili. We love it. So there's about 5 onions that we've chopped up. Of course, see there, we got our red bell pepper. And then our spices. Wow, okay, so seasonings and spices. So there's lots going on here. Ground cumin, 4 tablespoons. Ground chili powder, 4 tablespoons. Smoked paprika, our favorite. There's about a teaspoon of that in there. That's got a nice little spice. That's going to be great. And then we've got just a nice salt, black and white pepper mix. So we'll use that to season. And then we've got a ton of just really, really chopped finely jalapenos. That's what's going to give it our heat. And we'll put that in there in a sec. So I think, Mateo, our pot is about ready. This is all going to go into one pot. We're going to start with the beef, then add the onions, then add the peppers, add some of the spices, tomatoes. Once all and everything is together, and it's just going to cook for about 1.5 hours, 2 hours. So we're going to get started. The beef's going to go on. The pot is ready to go. So let's get over there right now. Let's do it. All right, so we're at the stove. We've got just a little bit of vegetable oil. We're going to do everything in this pot here. So it's got a lid. It's all going to go in together. It's smoking hot. So we're just going to put our beef just slightly in there. That's going to start to splatter. That's great. All right, good. And we're going to cook this beef down. We really just want to brown it. I think once it's all browned, then we can start adding in some of our peppers and our onions. So this is going to probably take about, 5 minutes or so. And once that's all nice and brown, then, like I said, we'll add our onions. So about 5 minutes, just get your ground beef nice and golden brown. That's going to really start to build in some really initial nice flavor, and we'll keep building and layering from there. All right, we got our beef going here. We're just going to check. It's been about a minute or so. Okay, that's going well. Now, a real interesting trick that you can use to try to break up your ground beef when you're doing it is using a potato masher, right? Why not? So what that does is that just helps break it up really easily versus using a spoon or kind of, a wooden ladle or something, right? So this is good. We're just going to break that up really nicely. This is getting hot. And that'll just really help with breaking up the beef. So you can see how much easier that is than trying to use fork or a knife. All right. Okay, so that's about halfway. Need about 3-4 minutes, and we'll be right back, and we'll start building flavor to that. Okay, ground beef's been in 5-6 minutes. I think it's about ready. Let's just take a look to see. There it is, all brown. That's what we want, okay? There is a little bit of fat and liquid there. You can drain that if you want. I find it's not overly excessive right now, so we're gonna actually leave that in, and that's just gonna continue to help us with flavor and also ensuring that we have enough moisture. So that's good. You can see how that potato masher really helped me really break up that ground beef, so that's a really, hopefully an interesting an easy little kitchen hack that you can use. Okay, so our next step is we're gonna add our onion, the onions go. And these onions, they're just gonna soften, okay? They're just gonna soften in with this ground beef as we keep going. So we're just gonna kind of put them in here. Hope that this pot is gonna be big enough for everything that we've got going in here. We may actually have to transfer this to something a bit bigger, but we'll see how it goes. All right. So we're gonna let those onions soften in with that beef for about 4 or 5 minutes. And then we're gonna start adding in our spices and our tomatoes, and that's pretty much it. So we'll be back in a few minutes, and then Mateo, I think it's gonna be ready for us to get started on your bread. That's gonna take a little while too. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, we're about ready to add our spices. I think I'm gonna add, so see, our onions they're starting to get nice and soft here. They're gonna continue to cook, of course. So I've got our whole kind of diced red bell pepper, that's gonna go in. And we have about, so we used about 3 jalapeno peppers. I pulled out a few of the seeds and some of the pith just to kind of temper the heat a little bit. But of course, if you really want to make your chili spicy, there's other types of really hot peppers. You can use cayenne pepper. We're going to use jalapeno, so I'm going to put that in as well. So we're going to do these. We're going to mix these just here together. It's starting to look nice and colorful, isn't it? All right, Mateo, I think I'm about ready for our spices, if you don't mind. All right, let's go with our chili powder first. So we had our 4 tablespoons of chili powder. Let's put that right in there, Mateo. Just dump it all in. I'm going to give it a good mix afterwards.
There we go.
Let's go with our cumin next. Our 4 tablespoons of cumin.
Cumin, going in.
Just dump it right in. Let's go with our paprika and our salt and pepper. The paprika first. That's a good teaspoon of smoked paprika. We love smoked paprika. That's going to give it a nice little bit of heat as well, in addition to the jalapeno peppers. And our salt pepper mix. Put that right in. There we go. Perfect. All right.
Done.
That's awesome. Okay, so now this is all about just mixing this all together. The moisture from the beef, oh, it's starting to smell really nice. Wow, that's great. Okay, all those spices all really well combined. Look at that, it's great. All right, it's starting to really shape up here. Just love the smell of cumin, smoked paprika, and chili powder. Wow, this house is gonna smell amazing. We're gonna let that just cook in with the spices for a few minutes. And really what's left is just adding in our diced tomatoes, our tomato sauce, and really bring it to a boil, and it's gonna simmer. So that's really all we need to do. So we're just gonna put the lid back on this. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. We're gonna add in the remaining of our ingredients, and then, then it's just letting it cook and work its magic on its own. We'll be right back. All right, so we've been just cooking in our spices with our meat and with our onions and peppers, so now it's time to add the remaining ingredients. I did forget, yes, we have our beans that we have to add, so we're gonna add the beans in as well. So Mateo, would you mind passing me the diced tomatoes? Let's just dump that right in.
Up there, okay.
Just dump it all right in there, and let's get the tomato sauce next. All right, look at that. Put the tomato sauce in, pal. Just put it all right in. Oh, this is getting to be a really full pot of chili. Oh boy, I think I may have measured this just about perfectly, but it's getting pretty full. So let's see how this is going to work with our. Need to put our beans in there too, Mateo.
You ready for our beans?
Well, I think our pot's getting pretty full here. So let's just mix all that together. Okay, let's add our beans, Mateo.
Here we go, I got our black beans.
Just sprinkle those both in. Put the black beans in. Yeah, put the kidney beans in. That's already boiling really, really nicely.
And
all right, very good. Okay, so I'm just going to be very careful here. This will cook down a little bit as we simmer it. So making a little bit of a mess. All right, that looks like pretty good, Mateo. What do you think?
So good.
That's looking really good. Smelling really nice in here. Okay, so here's the deal. So we got everything in there. We're gonna put a lid on this now. And this is just gonna simmer now for about, I think we're gonna give this one 2 hours. We got a nice quantity here. So just on the stovetop for a couple of hours. We got everything nice and combined. We are gonna taste a little bit later and add in any additional seasonings that we might, okay? So the lid goes on. We're gonna turn down the heat and just let that simmer for a couple of hours. All right, so chili is simmering. How's it smelling? Really good. What do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, so my job is a chili today. Your job is your delicious bread roll recipe. You did this a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do it again. I know you're gonna kick it up and change it up a little bit. You're gonna change the quantity. So over to you. You've got your ingredients here. Bread is usually very simple. Mateo's recipe is pretty awesome. So what do you got here, Bob?
Okay, so for our bread recipe, and we did this in a previous episode, but we just did an original bread recipe. So that made us only 4 buns, but for a family of 5, we need more. So we made this 3 times bigger, which is around a dozen little rolls. But it's still going to be delicious. So let's get started with this. So we started off with our warm water. We got 2 1/4 cups of water. We're going to mix that with our yeast. For our yeast, we have 1 1/2.
Warm water. So very, very important, right? So we've got dry active yeast here. The water has to be in between 120 and 130 degrees. Too hot, you'll kill the yeast. Too cold, it won't rise, right? It won't bloom, as you said, okay? So just very important to remember that.
Okay, so now for our yeast, we're going to mix it in with water, but for our measurement, we got 1 1/2 tablespoons. So that's going to go in after. We got 3 tablespoons of sugar. That's going to go in with our water and our yeast. We got 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. That's going to go in with our flour, which is 5 1/4 cups of flour. A lot of flour, but it's going to really help to combine everything together. It's our main product. And then on top, we're just going to mix in some Parmesan cheese. Not really a measurement, just some in a bowl. Sprinkle it on top once we're done. But that's going to be awesome.
We got our bowl here, so everything's going to end up in here onto the mixer.
Yep.
Amazing. Okay, well let's get going with. I guess what's your first step?
Our first step, we do have to get our yeast, sugar, and our water in so it can start to bloom.
Okay, let's do that now.
Let's get started with that. So for our water, let's get started. So we got our water over here, we got our sugar, and we got our yeast. So we're gonna start off with our yeast. Just pop that in there, put it on top, and then we got our sugar. Put that on top.
Put all that together. That's great. Okay.
And then I got my tiny little whisk. Gonna get this all nice and combined.
And how long does that need to be there, Mateo, for it to start to bloom? What do you think?
I don't really know the exact time, but I'm guessing probably around maybe 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna let this sit for 5 minutes. That's great. Okay.
We just want to get all these clumps nice and mixed up. Let's put it over there. But we're just getting all these clumps nice and away, so we can get nice and like this. So we're just gonna get it.
I love this bread recipe. Very simple, very easy to do.
Very easy, like
Very
kind of
tasty.
homemade. Yeah.
Yeah, easy to make. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so this is all mixed up.
That's good. All right. So we're just gonna let that sit.
We let that sit on the side, and we're gonna let this bloom nicely.
All right. Fingers crossed that it blooms.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Next step. Let's get started with that. Okay, we're back. Our yeast is looking awesome so far.
It's starting to bloom. Look at that, folks. It's actually starting to bubble a little bit. It's starting to raise. That's exactly what you want, right?
Yep. Okay, so we started off by putting all of our flour into our mixing bowl, and we're gonna add our salt with that. So we're just gonna put it in. It's gonna get mixed up in the mixer anyway. Okay, so now that that's inside of there, all we're gonna do, we're gonna bring this over to the mixer, and we're gonna put it onto a low kneading setting until everything's combined. So let me just get this in, and tighten it. Make sure it's nice and tight. You don't want this to be loose. This is all tight. Put this in, lock it, and we're just gonna put it on a low setting. It's gonna be a little bit loud. No, it's not. So all we're doing here is we're getting this all combined, and we're getting this all mixed up. I'm gonna use a spatula though, just to bring all the sides down a little bit. Bring it down a little bit. Just put it on a low setting.
Got our wet ingredients here, Mateo. Whenever you're ready.
Just a second, we're gonna put those wet ingredients in. Okay.
It's nicely mixed.
Nicely mixed. Our salt is combined with our flour. Time for our yeast. Let's do this.
So you just dump it right in? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Let's just dump it all?
Dump it all.
Okay, let's just dump it all in there. All right.
Okay. All combined. All set. Now, make the best part, mixing it all together. So this is going to be very sticky. It's going to stick to the sides. Mix it all together. It's going to be on. It's going to be okay. So we start just on our, I would say this is about number 2 stirring setting. It's just looking so good right now, honestly. There we go. fine. Every once in a while, we are gonna have to stop, unlock the thing, open it up, and just take off some of the flour that's on the sides, take off some of the stuff that's just getting stuck over here, because the flour will stick to the sides, and then you can't, and it's not gonna be fully mixed. So that's all I'm doing here. I'm just getting all the flour nice and mixed into the side, and then lock it. Lock, put it back onto our setting.
Alright, so while you're mixing that, we can look over here. So for those that know me very well, they know that I'm pretty stubborn. You'll see here now that we have a new pot. That pot that I had, it just didn't work. Just not big enough. So there we go. We have a nice simmer. This is the pot that I should have used. It's really, this is what it should have been. So anyways, it's really starting to come together really nicely here. So we're just checking it periodically just because we don't want it just to kind of burn and stick on the bottom. So anyways, I just wanted to show that we did transfer everything to a much more appropriate pot, and we'll leave that there now for the next little while. How's that bread dough looking, Mateo?
It's looking good so far. So what usually happens with this bread, it becomes very, very loose, very, I don't know, that just happens. It gets very loose, very stringy. And then the flour starts to come up, and then it gets sticky, and then it gets mixy. So then all we got to do is just keep it mixing together. Slowly but surely, it's going to come together a nice, beautiful dough. But as you can see over here, it starts to become stringy on this side. But everything does come together perfectly fine. So if it does become kind of stringy, don't worry. That's just how it becomes.
All right, so I think that's really good. So I think now you probably leave that for what, 4 or 5 minutes?
Yeah,
just
around
on kind of medium high. Just let that dough hook just work its magic and get everything all blended together. That's great.
Yeah. Okay. This has been mixing for I would say a couple minutes now. We had to put a little bit more flour in just because of how sticky it was. But it helped mix it in, and we got our consistency that we want. So as you can see, the consistency that we want is right here, nice and like smooth. Not too sticky, where I can like go like this, I can tap it, nothing on my finger. So we're gonna pull this off. It is sticky when you grab it, but like, it's all good. So yeah, we're gonna get this off, and we're gonna get this onto our workspace. We're gonna get some flour on there. We're gonna knead it with our hands. Be back soon.
All right, your dough looks good, man.
Looks awesome.
Okay, so let me get some flour here for you, because my hands are dry.
Awesome.
Just get your. I'll just bring this out for you, okay?
Yep.
This dough is nice and soft, nice and warm.
And all we're doing here while we're kneading it, all we're doing is getting all this flour nice and combined, and making it, of course, less sticky, because as you can see,
there we go. So
very
I
sticky.
think you can eat away.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm not very good at kneading, but I mean, I just do what I kind of feel. So like grab it
over, get all that flour in there, get it nice and dry. There you go. There you go. Let me jump in there for a sec. So I think this is really good the way you've started that. Oh, this dough is great, right? So fold it to you, right? And then fold it back, and use this part of your hand here, right? Right?
Yeah.
And over your floured surface. All right. Get over. All right. Just fold it back, and then turn it. Fold it back. Fold it back. Give me some more flour here. Okay. How am I doing?
It's good.
Isn't that good? You honestly think that we ought to knead this? What do you think? I'm getting tired.
It's 5 minutes.
You got to take over here. It's really come together nicely, hasn't it? Okay. It was a little bit on the soft side, but you can see that when you're making a bread recipe, and if it's a little bit on the soft side, flour is your best friend, right?
Yeah.
Which has been our best friend. If it's sticky, we'll add a little more flour. You take over, man. Just do the same thing I was doing.
Okay. So what you were doing, you were grabbing it, pulling it towards
you, flashing it forward.
It is going to be still kind of sticky, but I mean...
Just we're going to get some of the flour here, right? So you get some nice flour here like that, right? Let's just flip that over, like that, right? Flip it over, just roll that way. And then to you, right? Or two, just to give your bench a nice floured surface, right? Yeah, like that. Go ahead. So just pull to you, and then push that way. Pull that back. That's it. This recipe is a lot larger than the first one that you did there a few weeks ago, but it's all good. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
There we go. We won't need any more flour for sure.
Okay, so we're gonna do this for what? Another 3-4 minutes? Okay, we'll be back and then we'll go to the next step. All right.
Okay, we've been eating this for about 5-6 minutes now. It's looking really good, so we're gonna get this into our bowl. So we got some olive oil in a bowl. We're gonna let this rise, and we're gonna let this sit. Dish towel over top, and I'm just mixing all the oil around. Put it in. Okay, time for our dough. Okay, just put this in. Let it sit. Flatten it down. Got our dish towel. Just gonna put it over top. Open it up. Fold it in. Cover it up, and it's just gonna go, I would say, just right beside the stove, keep it nice and warm, and it's gonna rise for about 30 minutes now. And yeah, so that's our process. Okay, our bread's all ready to go. It's risen. Let's take a look.
Oh, look at that. It has grown, man.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Okay?
Yeah.
Really good. Almost double, I would say. Not quite, but almost double.
So
you need a little bit of flour on your bench. Is that what you need? Okay, so I'm going to look after that for you.
Start off with our flour on our bench.
Yeah, sprinkle some of that flour on there for you. Enough?
Yeah. Okay, so we got our dough. All we're gonna do, we're gonna grab it, get all that oil, grab it and
get rid of that
buff it up. So it's super oily, super spilled. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna knead it in, knead all that flour in. Okay. Right now it's very springy.
That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
12 buns out of this, eh?
Yeah, it takes a lot. Flour in there.
I don't know if you wanted me to jump in there and give you a bit of a break. It can be a hard job to do kneading dough, but that's looking really good.
It looks good.
Yeah, let me give it a go here. Okay, all right. So we're gonna portion this guy or what?
Yeah.
So this is looking really good. Look how smooth this dough is, Mateo. This is great.
Yeah. Okay. So from here, after we're done kneading, we're gonna grab a little knife and we're gonna cut it into little pieces, which then we can form little rounds, and we're gonna put onto our tray.
All right. Let me just put that in a nice ball. Oh, look at that. I can actually feel the yeast as I'm just trying to smoothen out the top of that. So there it is. So you want to cut that in half? Is that what you want to do?
We're going to cut it first.
We're going to make our...
Just a little knife.
Okay.
Or that. Okay.
All right, so we're just going to cut that in half, you want?
Sure.
Yeah? So 12, right?
Yeah.
So we should cut that in half?
Yeah.
Cut that in half?
Yeah.
It's going to be 2.
We're just going to form it into little balls.
We're going to do 8 bigger buns. Is that going to be the deal?
Sure. Why
Yeah, all right. Instructions. I messed that up, but that's okay. We're just going to improvise. Cut that guy in half. So what are you doing? You just...
I mean, we could also make these smaller too, if you really wanted to.
It's okay. You want to make them smaller? I think we should. Let's make them smaller. Let's bring them back. So we're going to cut them in half. And want to use the flour that's there, okay? So there we go. So those are the guys we're going to use. Okay. So do we have to brush these buns with anything, do you think, before we put the Parmesan cheese?
What we are going to do is we're going to be putting melted butter on top. So just a little bit of melted butter. Okay. Not really an exact measurement. Just a small little bit. And use a little pastry brush. You brush it on. And then you can put whatever toppings you want on top, honestly.
All right. So these guys are going to be nice and close together. That's going to be okay. All right, so melted butter, Parmesan cheese, they're going in the oven. That's our next step. All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm just noticing we're a mess. We're an absolute mess. That means we're working hard.
Yeah. So we got our melted butter over here. Pastry brush. Dip it in. And just brush on top.
So you asked me to get some sea salt. Should I just put some sea salt on them as you're putting the butter? Is that what you want? Yeah. Of course. Just put a little bit of this nice coarse salt. Not a lot, but just a few. It's going to really just add to a nice crunch. Obviously season it nicely. And these are going to the oven next, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, you got some Parmesan cheese here, though. What's with the Parmesan cheese? We got to put that on.
We're gonna put that on top too.
Okay. Why don't you go, man? Why don't you grab the Parmesan cheese?
It's just kind of sticking. Okay, there we go.
That's why we use the parchment paper, right?
Yeah, these just
Okay.
We got our Parmesan cheese.
Just sprinkle right around. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, that's gonna be so good with the chili. Oh my god. Oh my god. All right, nice and liberally.
Yeah, we're gonna make these super cheesy.
And how long will these go in the oven for, Mateo?
So for the oven stuff, baking at 400 convection bake in your oven, and then it's gonna take 20 to 25 minutes.
Give you a hand there. All right.
Just to be in the oven. And what we're looking for while we're cooking it is for it to be like sounding kind of hollow inside, looking nice and crusty.
So how many minutes?
Around 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes, 400. These look spectacular. They're going in the oven. All right, 20 minutes.
That's good.
Chili's just about done. Bring it all together. It's gonna be amazing. We'll be right back. All right, I think the chili's done. We've been here for about 2 hours. Let's take a look. Oh, look at that. You can see how the color has changed a little bit. It's a little bit darker, right? Which is great. The tomatoes have cooked down. The consistency is absolutely perfect. Just perfect.
Okay, so our bread has been in for maybe around 20 to 25 minutes. It's really looking nice. It's got some crisp on it, so let's take a look and we can take it out.
I can pull it out for you, pal. Oh, look at that. They look spectacular. Spectacular. Look at that. All right. Over here. They look great. The Parmesan cheese is giving a nice little color to it. Oh, look at that, Matteo. They're great. We're going to pull it together.
Yep.
Give it a taste test. I'm starving. I don't know about you.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. We'll be back in a little bit.
That's good.
All right, Matteo. We are done.
Yep.
We are ready. Look at your beautiful buns. Let's take a look at how our chili turned out. Oh, that looks great. Just absolutely great. So we're just gonna stir that in. Look at that. That's fantastic.
Looks
okay.
awesome.
It's super hot. We're gonna put a little bit here in a bowl for us to try. All right.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna do a little bit of a little sample there. Okay. That's probably enough just for us to sample that. Okay.
Yeah.
So cheddar cheese. Love cheddar cheese. You can use Parmesan cheese, but we love cheddar cheese with our chili, okay?
Yeah.
So really easy. This is gonna melt just really nicely on top. We're just gonna pour that just like that. All right, look at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take one of your buns.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that looks really great. It's still really hot, but that's okay. Oh, Matteo, look at that.
Looks awesome.
Look how nicely cooked that is, hey?
Yeah.
Great job, man, great job. So half for you, half for me.
Let's take a look.
And let's just give this a taste test. Now, I'm gonna stir this cheese in. This is all so hot, we're gonna burn our tongues.
My every week special, burning my mouth.
But this is our favorite part. So I'm gonna do it this way. I'm just gonna put that right on top. Oh, look what I did.
I'm gonna do this.
That's all right.
Actually.
All right, let's do it.
Move it on.
Mmm. What do you think? Oh, it's hot. Wow, that is super tasty. What do you think? What do you think of chili?
It's really, really good. Flavorful. Everything's nice and soft. Easy to eat. I love it.
The bread is so good. Gotta try this bread recipe. This bread recipe goes so amazing with this chili. Matteo, awesome job, man. That was so much fun. It took a long time, but we got there. We're gonna have this for dinner. We're starving. Anyways, everybody, that was a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you'll give this a try. And episode 15. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's keep this going.
Let's keep it going.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
See you next time.